Oh, there we go. There we go. Boop. Hello. It's a stream. Hello, hello, hello. Let me see if I've got this adjusted properly. Yeah, that'll do. Alright, there we go. I can go to the booth now. Hello, welcome to the stream. Woo. Yes, that most finalist of fantasy is a bit of a break. Hello out there, whether you're watching live or later, welcome in. And I hope you did something nice for yourself or someone else over the weekend. And if you didn't, that's okay. But do that the next chance you get. We're just playing it by ear today because I was like, no, I do feel like streaming, but I don't want to get right back into Final Fantasy 13. But I just want to take it easy today. So I have a couple of things I can throw on if I want to do a bit of gaming. So there's that. I don't know, like super down, but just like just broadly at everything. It's like, ugh. Yeah. I've been thinking about the fact that I open with, you know, I think I said this on stream as well, but I open with, you know, I hope you're doing well, and I'm like, I don't, are any of us doing well right now? I don't think so, or certainly things could be a lot better. So I think I just need to be like, yeah, as well as can be, yeah, exactly. I think I'm also thinking about this because it's I got a thing from Twitch, and I've never normally been bothered, or like I don't usually bother with this, but it was like, oh, it's your streamerversary, your affiliate anniversary, and like, oh, it just makes me think back, like, oh yeah, I suppose it is. This makes you think back. Oh. Okay, let me change this up actually. That's better. There we go. But yeah, it's yeah. I think that's what it is. I just had to reorder my thoughts. But yeah, it makes it. It's it's harder these days. I'm just thinking back to, like, you know, we keep going, but it's the space we're in now. I think is why I wanted to just hang out and chat, because I don't know, been rattling around, and have no fear, I'm not going anywhere. We're gonna keep going, you know. We've got all the Final Fantasies to play and lots of other things to do, but I was just thinking back, and it's like, it certainly feels a lot harder. Not just like not technically or like or anything like that. In fact, if anything, it's easier. It's a lot easier now, especially since I got the new PC last year, end of last year. But just, I don't know. It feels odd to be out here and being like, woo, 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 having a good time. Woo, woo, woo. Which, yeah, that's what my streams are like. Yeah, and be like, while everything is doing what it's doing. So yeah, that's why I was like, I need a break. Yeah, like I said, it's like, I personally am doing all right, and you know, that's okay. but yeah. So much shit is going on that it is, yeah. It reminds it was like this in like the height of the pandemic as well. It's just like, oh god, everything is. So yeah, it's like it's in a bit of a hard place to kind of, yeah. But we keep going. The horrors persist, yet so do I. Or something like however that phrase goes. I don't know. We stay silly. But yeah. So yeah, I was just feeling that today, and I was like, you know, I do still want to stream. I don't really want to get into 13 just yet. I just want a bit more of a break. We took a bit of a break last week after finishing up 12, and we'll continue, you know, months. It has been. It's many months. Everybody, hello, Stephanie. I hope. I was gonna do it again. I was gonna be like, I do genuinely. This is the thing. When I start a stream, I'm like, I hope you're doing well, and I do. I mean it. But recently, it's been like, I understand that, you know. I hope you're doing as well as can be expected, and I hope you did something nice for yourself or someone around you. And if you didn't, that's okay. But you can do that at your earliest convenience. Yeah. So yeah, that's just been rattling around a bit. Like I said, I'm fine. It's just. I think also I watched a couple of. I was, you know, just in my sort of downtime watching YouTube videos or clicking around on some recommended videos, and you occasionally find one where someone's like, oh, you know, we don't want to get political here, we don't want to have a political thing here, and I mean that always annoyed me, but nowadays I'm like, I know what that sounds like. That sounds like an argument for the status quo, which I don't know if you've noticed isn't great. Yeah. So yeah, it's just sort of, you know, like nothing to see here. Yeah. Yeah. You know what to do. Get in the comments. I just said, get in the comments. Brendan Lee Mulligan style. But yeah. So I'm playing it by ear today because I'm like, I just want to, I don't know. I probably just have some things I want to get off just a little bit in a sort of stream context. And it's good to hang out and chat with everybody. Oh, that's what I say. Because yeah, I have been. What I've been distracting myself with, or what I've been enjoying, I've been playing a lot of Baldur's Gate 3 actually. That's one of the things I might do if I want to today. I might might put that up. I don't know. But that's been a lot of fun. So that's something nice that I've been been doing. Yeah. Yep, doesn't it just, NeoGates? Yep. Basically. No politics, get back in the closet job. Yeah. I will say, as someone who, you know, as a Desert Bus chat mod, there are definitely times and places where it is like that sort of thing, particularly in a live stream, is gonna derail stuff quite significantly, which we don't want. So there's that aspect of it where it's like we're trying to have a fun time. It's usually in the context of like we're trying to have a fun time here, and if we start talking about this, it's going to get depressing and angry really quickly, which we don't want. But at least with the Desert Bus crew, I think, you know, if you've followed them at all, or if you if you know Loading Ready Run or whatever, I think it's pretty clear where they stand on a lot of that stuff. And, you know, they make themselves inclusive and yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that's definitely also something I feel when streaming, but it's much less of a problem. The thing is, the bigger the community, the bigger the sort of community, but specifically like the chat room is, or like the chat is, the more of a problem it will turn out to be. Because when it's a small group, it's much easier to get a handle on it. So feel more comfortable sort of letting those frustrations out and talking about that sort of thing. Yeah, but yeah, no. It's like, oh, we don't want to make it political. It's like, okay. And never mind that there's no such thing as apolitical anyway. Never mind that. Is there any coffee left? No, I drank it all. Sad. It's alright. I have some water. Yeah. Oh. But yeah, like I said, you know, I just haven't been noticing that the amount, like, I've never had very much in the way of what one would call get up and go. I don't know what another word for that is, but you know, like that sort of, that real drive, not just motivation, but drive, you know, that a lot of people seem to have, where they're like really energized to make things happen, as it were. I've never really had much of that, except in sort of occasional short bursts. But I think I've noticed, like, it feels like it sort of has been harder, you know, in recent times. It's not quite at the level of like burnout, because no, I haven't hit, because I think I realized a long time ago, it's like if I take regular breaks, that will help and make sure that I don't get burned out, which I think has definitely helped. But yeah, that kind of like energy that might be because of the inevitable march of time. I'm sure it like partially is, but also when everything sucks, it's a lot harder. You know. Okay, this is hell. Stop it. I'm trying to get it underneath the... Nah, never mind. Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, so it's just yeah. But yeah. But like I said, I've been doing some, I did do I guess Baldur's Gate 3 is a nice thing I did for myself. And also not streaming it, which is a weird thing to say, but the thing is, if I started streaming it, I might have the compulsion to be like, I need to finish it on stream. I'm like, no. Since I'm already started and already got a ways in, you know, if I boot it up and put it on stream as just a sort of, you know, hangout background sort of thing, then I'm not going to feel like I must finish it. Yeah. But yeah, I got like a bonus of cash from a thing, wow, yeah, I ended up with a bit of extra cash this last month, and I was like, you know what, this is you know what, it's gone on sale. I already have like the next like several Final Fantasy games bought already and sitting in my Steam library waiting to be played, so I don't need to do that. So I'm like, you know what, I'll do that. I'll get Baldur's Gate 3. I'm fantastically late to the party, but they did just put out the final patch, which added a number of subclasses. So I've been having fun turning Karlach into a giant barbarian and yeeting people across the battlefield. It's great. That's, you know, that's my enrichment, is like, Karlach, pick up that boulder and throw it at someone. Yeet! It's just a lot of fun, honestly. Yeah. Definitely don't look into the fact that I made Karlach a giant barbarian and I'm playing a halfling. Nothing to see here. It's fine. Don't worry about it. I mean, I went rooting around in the back of the sort of in the character folder for character ideas, and I was like, oh, halfling monk, that could be fun. Which has been fun so far. I went with drunken master, so I'm just chugging beer or ales or wine to get my key points back. Hey, Shots, welcome back. Highly ho, neighborino. I'm glad you've been enjoying the VODs. Yeah. We're just taking a break from it at the moment. We'll be do not fear though. Final Fantasy 13 will be happening soon. Probably next week. I think we'll do some streams this week, as you can see right now. I'm doing one right now. But we'll start 13 next week, I think. Just to give myself a little bit more of the sort of pause. Because 12 did drag for me, unfortunately. It was kind of a tough middle to get through. But yeah, at least it ended pretty strong. Yeah, it's a lot of games. And man, I don't know if I'm gonna... The question is going to become 13.2 and 13.3. But I think I'm going to, like with 10.2, I'm going to make that decision. I'm going to make that decision after I'm done with 13. I might be like, no, no more. But yeah, we'll see. The Sand Sea part. Oh yeah. That was relatively early on, actually. I'm just realizing. Not like right at the beginning, but going to the tomb bit. The Tomb of Wraithwall. Yeah, that's actually pretty early on. That's like in the first third of the game, maybe? Right? Yeah. But yeah, it was, I had my sort of thoughts about the story and whatever and things, but there was at least a decent pace going up until Mount Boromices, and then then it drops off a cliff. I mean, if you've been watching, I don't know where you've got to on the VODs, but you know, if you've been watching the VODs, you'll see what I mean. I forget where you've got to, rather. I know. Yeah. I think I saw you comment on something recently. Oh, you did finish it. Oh, yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah. This game's being multi-disc. Easy to work out something with disc 1, 2, or 3. Yeah. Oh, I know what you mean there, I guess. Not wanting to advance in case you miss something, though. You can't do everything in one playthrough. Yeah. I do have that compulsion to be like, I have to check every crate in case something is in there. And yeah, there's so much. 17 down, 600 floppy disks. Actually, I mean, hold on a minute. I feel like that's an underestimate. Like, let's see. There would be so many more. Okay, the 3.5-inch high-density floppy disk was a maximum capacity of 1.4 megabytes. Megabytes. So, okay, let's round that up. Let's round that up to 1.5. Let's be generous and say that you had a floppy disk that could do 1.5 megabytes. And let's assume that 17, I don't know how big 16 is. How big is 16? But it's probably 170 gigabytes. Yeah, okay. Well, let's make the maths easy and say that FF17 is a little bit smaller than, they've optimized it a little bit. So it's 150 gigabytes. So, and there are 1,000. So yeah, you would need about 1,000, not too far off. Yeah. There are, yeah, 1 megabyte is 1,000, is 0.01. So 150 gigabytes. Oh no, sorry, I was way off. Sorry, I was way off by a huge factor. Sorry, yeah, I was way off. So 150 gigabytes is 150,000 megabytes. So, yeah, no, I was way off. 150 gigabytes is 150,000 megabytes, of course, because there's 1,000 megabytes in a gigabyte. So you would need 150,000 floppies. You would have to. Hey, there's a lamb. I was probably knew it was something like 23 floppies. Good grief. But then, oh, cassette. Yeah, I never experienced those. I know that was a thing though. Yeah, the cassette-based games. Yeah. But yeah. Oh, a thunderstorm. Oh, closed up early. Oh, it is a little early for you to get back from work. So yeah. What would 150,000? I don't know why I'm stuck on this, but it's like, what would 150,000 floppy disks look like? What would 1,000 floppy disks look like? Hold on. Okay, so they are 3.3 millimeters, 3.3 millimeters tall. Okay. 3.3 times 150,000. So 490, divide that by 1,000. Oh, so it would be a stack of floppy disks 495 meters tall. Alright, cool. Now we go. Now we know. That's if my maths is right. I think it is. Yeah, easy. Well, the problem is making a single stack 495 meters tall, but oh wow, the work had been hit by Well, thankfully today is a lovely clear day outside, so no thunderstorms here, thankfully. Not yet, anyway. Could change any second. Table the entire surface is floppies. Oh, surely. Oh, chatty? Ah, no, we're fine. Surely someone has made something like that. Yeah. It is, in fact, unfortunately, it's not going to cool down here. It is going to cool up. No, it's going to be like. We're going to have a brief spike by the middle of the week up to like 26C, which is going to be. That's. Luckily, it shouldn't be humid. It should actually be like dry, so I can stay out of the sun and be alright. And 26 is okay for me. You know. Your experience may vary. But yeah, 26 is alright, and as long as it's not humid. So we'll be okay. We'll be alright. Yeah, Resident Close floppy tabletop. Floppy coasters. Here's the thing, I don't remember using these, but I know that, you know, and I'm sure you know as well, like, you know, you had the little floppy disks, but original floppy disks were huge and were actually floppy. Like yeah, they're like, hey, happy affiliate event anniversary. Yeah, thank you. Gonna trust the suggested message is accurate. I think it is. Like I you know, I don't normally bother with the affiliate anniversary stuff, other than like, oh, that's a thing. So yeah, but that is there. That is correct. Only had the smaller ones. Yeah, the 3.5 inch, and then there was the 5.25 inch ones, and then there was whatever size the bigger one was, which was bigger than that. But they were like disc, magnetic tape or something. I don't know. Whatever. Yeah. But yeah, as well, like when you would get your like Windows install or whatever it was, and it was on like many different floppies. Carmageddon, Pink Panther, Adventure Game, and Doom. Doom. You know, I was, funny enough, this was maybe a little while ago, but I was chatting with my, we were chatting with Mum, we were talking about like, oh, do you remember this place where I used to work? And I think one of my earliest, it must be one of my earliest memories, because when did Doom come out? Doom original game. Original game was 1993. So I think it was around, and I think it was around 93 or 94. So it would have been 5 or 6. Maybe, or it might have been a little bit later, but either way. One of my earliest memories is Mum, I think my mum took me into work because she briefly was, I think I was going somewhere where she was taking me to something, and she briefly popped into her work at the time to get something. I forget, I might be getting this wrong, but this is how I vaguely remember it. But for whatever reason, she took me into her workplace. This is an office, and she's like, I have to go take care of something, and leaves me with a good friend of hers, who's like name of John. we'll call him, let's say John. And he's like, hey, okay, sit here, kid, and sits me in front of a PC, which he at work, mind you, and he loads up Doom, and it's like, here you go, play with this. And I remember not much, but I remember sitting around, and I for years I confused the BFG with the plasma rifle or whatever it was, because I remember the the shape of the plasma rifle on the original Doom. Like, that's maybe one of my earliest memories that I can still kind of recall. It's me just sitting in front of a PC at, like, I don't know, age 5 or 6 playing Doom. I've been gaming from the start, baby. Yeah. I'm not sure exactly when that was, but yeah. I mean, yeah, I'm sure I was terrible at Doom as well. Oh, Atari 2600 with the wood paneling. Why was everything wood paneled in, like, what was it, the 80s? 90s? Where was Atari 2600? Feels like late 80s, isn't it? Early 80s, never mind. Because it's classy. Wood paneling's coming back? It is? The hell? Oh, yeah. Look at that. Means less plastic. That's... No, okay. Okay. I see that, yeah. Ah, well, you know, wood doesn't grow on tree. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. It does grow on trees. Wants the translucent plastic of the nice one, the PS6 to be a soft grain varnished plank. Nice. Oh, is that the Mega Drive, PS1, PC, PS2, 360, PS4? Nice. Yeah, I mean, what did I have? The first gaming console that I actually had, because I remember playing, we had computer games, but that wasn't really a thing. It was like a golf game. I think I can still kind of hear the sort of bit crushed, like, golfing noises, like that. I think it was on like a Tulip PC or something. But my first, like, game console was the N64. We had N64, and I also had a Game Boy Pocket, a clear one, I think. Yes. And then later on, Game Boy Advance. Like, I went through a lot of, like, the Nintendo, like, stuff. It was like Game Boy Advance and DS. Oh, was it? Oh, it might have been that, actually. But then GameCube and Wii. But the Wii was the last Nintendo console that I owned. I didn't get a Wii U or a Switch, because after that, then it was into PC games for a while, and then after streaming for a little bit, got the PS4, and that's been it. So yeah, it's like Nintendo, PS4, PC, PS4. Yes, the Game Boy Advance SP that would have the little flip up thing, and I think also had a backlight. Because that was I remember when you had to plug in there was like a light attachment that you plugged in so you could play in the dark. Yeah. Yeah, no, I also have. There is a big box over in the corner, kind of over there, because a while ago I went and sorted through all my gaming stuff, all my old, and I do still have original like Pokemon Blue cartridge in there, along with a bunch of other stuff. Because at some point I was gonna try. I probably will still try and sell some of it, because a lot of it I don't really want to hold on to. Yeah. Oh, lights on the street light. Yeah, I remember that. Just gonna look up the Windows Golf. Is it Microsoft Golf? Oh, it might have been. Pokemon Red and Firefox is a second-hand store. Nice. The interesting thing is, a few of the games I do actually have, actually quite a few. I'm sure I went through this on stream at one point, but anyway, I do have some of them with their original box and manual. So that's a fun thing. To the right collector. Okay, I need to hear it. I just need to hear the golf. Oh yes, okay. I was like, I need to hear the golf swing. I need to hear the golf swing to know if that's what I'm thinking of. It might be.
Will go when your swing is, you'll be lost.
Whack. Yeah, it might be this, Anyway. Oh, 3D. Yes, I remember 3D Pinball Space Cadet for Windows XP. Yes, I do remember that. That was what I used to test the really early tablets that I set up for work experience in secondary school. That was my work experience, was like installing a bunch of new and this was like pre-iPad. These were like bulky big tablets, and I would test them out by like seeing if it would run the pinball game. Like do a few of those, go and have a sandwich, come back, do some more. It was fairly straightforward. Yeah, Lord of the Rings games. I think the only one I really played was Shadow of Mordor, the first one, and that was like a bit. Shadow of Mordor. I played I didn't play the sequel. I didn't play Lord of the Rings Online, which I know a lot of people. I think Lord of the Rings Online is one of those. It seems to hold a lot of nostalgia for a lot of people in that sort of MMO space. The Nemesis system. God, it really annoys me. Annoys me that they. I think I'm remembering it right, that they patented it and then no one else can use it, which is silly. Oh, best of luck. Best of luck, Shards. I've been finding it a little tricky myself recently. So, wishing you the best, and get some sleep. Oof, yeah. I have started realizing that if I put on like a podcast or something, not even with like headphones in my ears, because I find that uncomfortable, even with like the in-ear headphones, I can't like relax and sleep because I tend to sleep on my side. But if I just put it on my phone and put my phone next to my bed with either a podcast or an episode of Cracking the Cryptic or something, that seems to have been helping, so I might just try doing that a bit more. Because I did that the last couple of nights when I was struggling, and I was like, let me just put that on. And like, and then I wake up and like check the phone, and it's gone all the way to the end. I'm like, oh yeah, okay, that did help. So I might try doing that. Very popular sleep choice. Yeah, it's funny because when I watch the videos normally, I don't feel sleepy. But it's just, particularly I find like Simon's videos are very good for it though. Because he just has that kind of relaxing quality. Yeah. Oh. Lotro is alive. It's still alive, huh? What do you know? It's kind of like a Final Fantasy 11 situation. I mean, it's worth a shot, Red. You know, no harm done. It's worth a shot. Yeah. But I would recommend Simon's videos more so than Mark's for that, just purely because I think Simon has a slightly more relaxed quality to his voice that might help, or the manner in which the videos are made. Well, okay, Simon is the chap with the glasses. There you go. that should work. Yep. Yes, indeed. Yeah. And if you enjoy like puzzles and Sudokus and logic puzzles, you might just enjoy their content as well. But you know, yeah. I mean, it's several videos every day, really. There's one I want to watch that they just put out the other day that was Simon and Mark doing a collaboration with Matt Parker of stand-up maths fame. So that could be neat. Service will stay up, yeah. As long as they're making any amount of money, yeah. Well, as long as they make any amount of money and like their team doesn't get shuttered for whatever reason. Oh man, a lot of the I do try the puzzle. I do enjoy them, but yeah, some of them go way over my head. Wait, which one was that? Oh, was that the one where you had to have? Oh yeah. One of it was modulo and it was entropic and whatever. It's been a few like that. I found that when the layered one, yes, I remember that one was like woof. I found that of the like different types of either logic puzzles or Sudoku variant puzzles, I tend to enjoy the ones that are like involve like region building or like yin yang, where you have to build out shapes and that sort of stuff. The ones that are more mathematical kind of yeah, those don't appeal to me as much, but there you go. Sorry, I like the idea of the MMO retirement homes. Just a bunch of old MMOs sitting in rocking chairs being like, I remember the good old days. I used to have a high player count and now... Yeah. My retirement home better be running WoW Classic. Yeah. Running 14 1.0, it's not a good retirement. Oh dear. This is the only this is the only one we have. Look. This is the only MMO we can afford. It's funny though, I basically never got into MMOs back in the day. Like I played a little bit of WoW and a little bit I think of Guild Wars 2, but at the time something just didn't, I don't know, it just didn't work. And then there was also the fact that, well, yeah, I do have to keep in mind that around the sort of teenage years when I would have been doing that, I was also dealing with some pretty significant health conditions, so that probably didn't help. Didn't have, didn't have the time or the energy to do that sort of thing. Maybe, I don't know. So I kind of had it in my head of like, oh, I don't enjoy MMOs, but I had a good time with 11, with Final Fantasy 11, to I think pretty much everyone's surprise. But yeah. We'll see how 14 goes as well. When we do get there, it's going to be a little while, depending on how much I want to play 13.2 and 13.3, which depends on how much I enjoy 13, I guess. So it could be quite a while before we get to 14, but I mean, we'll see. Frustrations you did have of things that aren't in 14, right? Yeah, I mean, just the fact, but I think what I realized about 11 is like the little you have the small steps of like completing the quest and doing the thing, and the those little dopamine hits, the small ones of like, you do this and then you do this and like, oh yes. And also I do kind of have that, I don't know that it's strictly an addictive personality, because I think I don't want to minimize people who do actually have like addiction issues. So I don't think I want to say that, but like a compulsive, I can get a compulsion pretty easily. Compulsive personality type of thing. It's like if it gives me a little reward, then yeah. Some people like a bar going up. I mean, yeah, exactly. It was that. I mean, that was a lot of what carried through the sort of doldrums of 12. It was like, yes, this little combat and the selecting on the board is like, tickles the brain in just the right way. Yeah, when I get into something, yeah, like I said, it's that compulsiveness of like, I must do this, it's like, no, you don't have to. It's like, but I must. Yeah. That's one of those things that's on the board of like strongly pointing in the direction of like, hey, ADHD's over there. Or actually, I mean, that's more kind of OCD, but anyway, something that pointing in the direction that something is going on up there. I don't know. But so yeah, that's why I was like thinking back on it. It's like, well, no, it kind of makes sense with 14 because it does have a lot of that. Like, I mean, yeah, there's comorbidities. It crosses over for sure. I've done a lot of reading into this. I still haven't gone to somewhere to get a proper diagnosis. But every time I've done I've done both the online sort of assessment or like not medical, not diagnosis. But every time I've done it from I get a pretty high score on both the ADHD and OCD ones. So, well, yeah, who knows? But anyway, yeah, that sort of like direct feedback. That direct feedback is a very important thing, yeah. I mean, I know I've talked about it before, but the problem, like at least the thing with the ADHD type of brain, is that you basically can't perceive. You have a hard time with long-term or distant consequences, right? If there is a consequence far in the future to you doing something now, it might as well not exist. And there's a medical technical reason for it that I can't recall, but it has to do with chemicals in your brain. But it's like, nah, it's it's like that. This sign says if you don't do this now, in 6 months there will be a problem. And it's like, that sign won't stop me because I can't read. Or the same with positive stuff as well. It's like, oh, do this and you'll get a benefit in the same amount of time. Same thing. So that short term, you need, if you want to motivate, you got to do it in the short term. You got to do it in the sort of long term this, but if you don't do it now, this, something else. And it's often like a constructed thing. I've said this, I've been doing this for a while, and I'm sure I've said it on stream before, but trying to motivate myself to do even just a little bit of exercise, right? And it's like, oh, you should do this because otherwise you'll have problems later on and you'll just feel terrible. And it never worked. And it was like, okay, if you don't do even slow barrier to entry, minimum, you just have to do something, but you don't get to use the computer today. And then it was like, okay, I gotta do it, because otherwise I won't. That's a deliberately engineered compulsion to hack the brain into doing what you want it to do. I'm fucking speed running, I'm doing tool assisted speed runs on my brain. It's like, good. This is a normal way to just do stuff. But anyway. Oh yeah, work 2 hours before the deadline. Well, this is the thing. Okay, so this is exactly the thing I'm talking about. Because in 2 hours, the deadline is very real. If the deadline is a week away, it doesn't exist. Yeah, the deadline is in 2 hours. It's very real. If you don't have, I think it's dopamine is the one. Is it dopamine or whatever the one is that lets you do things? What you can instead do, instead of executive function, what you can do is you can overclock your anxiety to replace executive function. We don't recommend doing this, but yeah. Because then the deadline is very real. I've said before, the issue I've had is not just I do my best work 2 hours before the deadline. It's I do my only, that's the only time. That's not always true, but that has been true in the past and continues to happen sometimes. Where it's not just I'll do my best work, but no, that's the only time it works. That's the only time I can actually do it, which is a problem. Like that's not good. That's very much not good. It's like, oh, yeah, and it will lead you to burn out. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's the thing. If you do that for too long, you will burn out. Yeah, don't overclock too hard or you get a system shutdown. That's what that is. Yeah. It's basically like if you have a car, like imagine you have a car that has like an afterburner or like a nitrous or whatever the hell. I'm just basing this on like GTA or whatever. That has like a nitro boost. But the engine doesn't work. Or like the main engine. The only way to move the car is with the nitro boost. And so you can do it. You can drive that way, but it will burn out. It will burn out real quick. Like that's what it's like. For yeah, okay. I don't know cars, but you know. But yeah, there you go. But it's like that. If all you have, if it's the only way to move the thing is with the afterburner, not the engine. And so yeah, you'll move it, but you'll burn it the hell out real quick. Yeah, it's a problem. Yeah. Yeah. And also, it's like, oh man, the sort of very typified story for this, like, it's also, like, you'll fulfill that need and then you won't. Because one time, it still sticks in my head because it was so stupid. But one time at university, I had a project due. And again, this is one of those situations where, like, I didn't do it. I did it all last minute. And I did it all last minute the night before. And I did it and I was like, oh, thank God, it's done. And then I had to submit it the next day. Woke up, went about my day. We had the deadline for submission, I think was like 10 a.m. or something. It was midday. And I realized, oh, I didn't submit it. I spent like all night working on it, last minute, got it done. The problem is, the reason that happened is because I got the dopamine rush when I finished it, not when I submitted it. So in my brain was like, task done. Like, job done. We're done here. That's that. Over and done with. And I just completely forgot to submit it until it was past the deadline. So I could only get a maximum of like 50% marks on it. And that was if I had done it really well. So it's like, nope, we've done that. We've done that task. We've done it. My unsubmitted projects for my current course. Yeah. Yep. It was like, nope, we've done. Task is done. That's why I realized it's like, that's why, because it's like, you've done it. You've finished it. You've completed it. And so your brain gives you the good chemical and then you forget to submit it because submitting it is a different task. That's why. It's a different part of it, or it's a different task entirely. So it just doesn't. Yeah. Yeah. I've connected the dots. You haven't connected them. I've connected them. Yeah. But like that's why I said earlier, like that. I know people who have like an internal drive that means they don't work like this. They're just like, no, I'm going to do things in an orderly and or not necessarily orderly, but like in a timely and like, yeah, I'm gonna do that, yeah, I'm gonna do this. Like, I know people like that, and that's honestly probably a lot more of the people that I know, or in general. But I just don't, I just don't have that. Oh, okay, yeah, no, that's also true. Yep, no, same, Lamb. That's also another thing. If you're doing it for someone else, yes, then suddenly everything becomes a lot easier. The ADHD person inside. I find often with I don't know if this is the case for you, Stephanie, but I find often with people like that, because I've talked to some people who are like that, you have come up with many ways. You have hacked your brain. You may have hacked your brain. You know, like it was like, okay, I have, you know where it's the meme where like you see one side of an embroidery and it looks really good, and then you turn it around and it's a mess from the other side. It's like, if you start to explain to people how you how you wrangle your brain into doing what you want, it just it sounds wild. Yeah, that's what I find. It's like you've managed to come up with a number of good ways to actually just force it into shape, basically. But yeah, suddenly doing things for other people, suddenly your brain is just like, what? And I know, I swear I remember watching something about why that is, but what coping mechanisms I have? I think my whole life, everything. Yeah, like, oh, I have 15 different. It's like I have 15 different systems to make sure that I do all of these things in this routine and all of these and da 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 da. And then like some people you explain that to and they're like, oh, same. I also da 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 da. And then you say that to someone else and they're like, oh, I just do things. Like, you can do that? That's a thing? Wait, that's real? Yeah. Yeah, and you know, in recent years, I say recent, maybe since like 2018, 2019, I've been realizing more about and trying to understand more about how my brain works. Because I realized that I noticed a coping mechanism that I have, and it's a subconscious one, I think, or an unconscious one, and it's that, like, I'm very, very rarely. Oh, hold on a second. Oh, hey, nice one. All right, good stuff. But I'm very, very rarely late to things, particularly like appointments, or like a doctor's appointment, or some other, you know, thing like that. Which the stereotypical like ADHD brain, you know, or forgets about these things. Like, yeah. The reason I don't is because I have developed an anxiety about it. An anxiety about disappointing someone else and letting them down and them feeling bad about me, about it. So this means that I'm not late to things, but what it means is yes, exactly that. I can do nothing else on that day until the appointment happens. Yeah. And I realized this, I was like, oh, that's a coping mechanism. Because if I don't do that, if I didn't have that problem, it would just go whoosh, right past me. Like, it would just go, yeah. And I'm like, oh, yeah. If it's an appointment or something, or if it's, you know, I am there very early or something. Like if it's on a, if I have to go somewhere, like if I have to go to the hospital, to the GP, particularly if I have to go to the hospital for like a checkup or whatever. As soon as I'm like, okay, the appointment is at this time. Okay, brain immediately starts into mode of like, okay, it's going to take me 15 minutes to walk from the train station to the hospital. The train is going to take about 30 minutes. The walking from my house to the train station is going to take about 10 minutes. It takes me about 15 minutes to get ready in the morning, not counting breakfast. Let's make that 20 minutes. So I need to get up. If it's at this time in the morning, I need to backtrack until, ding. Okay, that means I need to get up at this time. And if anything gets in the way of that, if anything interrupts it, it's gone. It's just out the window. So I have to be like, no, nobody talk to me. I'm shifting into appointment mode. And yeah. It's, like I said, it means that I'm very rarely late to things. But it's not a great way to deal with that, I think. Yeah. Like, that means I'm basically mildly anxious for like most of the day until that thing happens. Yeah. Yeah, getting preoccupied with something else. Yep. Try to be right on time. I do try to be like right on time. I often end up being like a little bit early, just because I have I have factored in time for if there is like a delay. And then that delay doesn't happen, so I get there a little bit early. Because I also have, and I don't know, this might just be, I don't know if this is related to that stuff, but it's certainly part of the milieu that's going on up there. Yeah, every possible delay, exactly. Because I know that I have an issue that I have that my brain likes to do, and this is immediately like when I'm presented with a situation, a lot of the time it's like, here are all the ways this can go wrong. And that is like intrusive. That's not like a conscious thing. It's just like, what if all of this stuff, what if this went wrong? What if this? What if that? What if the other? And it's that is genuinely like a problem. Can't plan to catch the bus, we'll get them on time, because what if it's late? Better get the one before. Yep. But it's like, it is kind of like intrusive thoughts, because it is often, or is it is frequently on the level of like absurd things that couldn't possibly happen. Well, that could possibly happen, which is the issue, but that are extremely unlikely to happen. And it's like, no, that's not helping. Like, to give you an example, one of the problems, I have a real issue with is heights. But even to the extent of getting up on a short step ladder to do some things. Like one step, fine, like not that far off the ground. Because then my brain starts going, okay, here are all the ways that you could hurt yourself doing this. And it basically just freaks me out. Like every time it's like, here's all the ways that this can go wrong and you can hurt yourself. Like, what if you slip? What if this? What if they fall on that? Like, and that is like very illogical because, like, no, you're fine, you know, and that is unhelpful and not good for anybody. So yeah, like that shows up in a lot of different places. So yeah, when go back to where we all started with this, but like when things start going yeah, when the state of things around, that's why like early pandemic was really hard. Even though like we were fine and, you know, dealing with anything too bad, but it was like, what if? And then yeah, it's no good. Oh yeah, that one. Because I've discovered that some level of that is normal, like that sort of like l'appel du vide. I think it's a French thing for the call of the void. Like some amount of that is a normal everyday thing, and a lot of this stuff is, to some extent, you know, it's normal to have those sorts of feelings or to think about things like that from time to time. The issue is when it is not a sometimes thing, you know, when it is frequent and intense and disruptive. Yeah. Like that's when it goes like overboard from like being just a normal part of life to like, you know, that's when it becomes a disorder, because it is disorderly to your day to day. Yeah. So yeah, I've never been very good at like, and with all the things that have been going on recently, you know, this is not something you should be doing, but I've never been good at putting my head in the sand and pretending nothing is happening. Not that you should be doing that, but I do get it. Like, not you should necessarily be doing that. Like, sometimes you want to just like say, you know, not gaze into the abyss, but see what's going on in there. Oh. Yeah. It's like, oh, just, you know, don't worry about it, or put it out of your mind. It's like, I cannot. Even with whatever small thing it is, even if it's very minor, it's like, no, I cannot do that. I have tried. So yeah, that's why I say, you know, it gets hard. It's been, yeah, it's feeling harder to do more, to like, you know, to be going live and being like, hey, how we doing, everybody? Because like, what's that comic? It's like, okay, we shouldn't talk about the same place. It's just depressing and thing or whatever. The thing is, though, the fucking idiots, like, that's what it's like. Yeah. So yeah, I can't easily put stuff out of my mind. So yeah, it's. But we keep on trucking. Yeah. So let's let it go like a balloon. No, my mind is full of balloons. I don't know. Yeah. And yeah, I don't know. I just. But not also I don't want to, I'm not trying to use, you know, the stream as like, you know, therapy session or anything like that, but I was like, I don't want to like push that down and ignore it on the stream. So I'm like, you know, hanging out and chatting might give me an opportunity to just sort of let that out in this context, right? It's like, because going live and being like I said, going live and being like, hey, how you doing? Hope you're doing great way, and just pretending that nothing is happening is like, no, like I said, I can't do that. I can't put it out of my mind. And I think it comes across like, if I try to do that, like, no, it's not authentic. It's not genuine, and people can tell. I know you can tell. You know? Yeah. Yeah. Oh, excuse me. Oh. Yeah, I didn't get great sleep last night because of. It's funny because it's often not like in the front of my head. It's often just in the back of my head. But if you're not, mentally, but it is just there. Yeah. Rant about BS government trying to trans people or communities are heavily trans. So it's like we already know it's already so much we don't want to be all we talk about everywhere, but a certain amount of talk. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's so just yeah. Yeah, it's a tough balance. It really is, and we like. There are so many things, but yeah. Yeah. And you see, but like particularly with this and with a number of other things, but it's like, there are real issues that we could be trying to deal with, but no, let's spend time being horrible to already marginalized community. Like, yeah, and like for what? I mean, we know for what. The being horrible is the point, but yeah. Gah. Piss me off. One thing you should remember, all of this should remind you that, like, no progress is not inevitable. Like, progress towards like a more egalitarian society where everyone is happy and free is not inevitable, which like some people think it is, treat it as like we've sorted this out, or now that will be sorted out. No, the only reason we have anything that is like egalitarian or inclusive or whatever is because we fought for it. Like, we basically just beat a government into submission about it. Like, these things do not just happen just naturally over the course of time. No, they happen because people make them happen. And they can be undone by other people. So every freedom, every right that, we've have is because we fought for it. Like, so a lot of people think it's kind of sit back and just like, oh yes, this will naturally, what's the quote? Like, the moral arc of the world is long, but it bends towards good. No, only because we bend it. Only because we make it that way. Only because we bend it by our actions. Like, there's no inherency to this. This doesn't happen just because. Like, this happens because people make it happen. Yeah. The LGBTQ plus discussion next week with kids is slightly overdue. Well, overdue, but it's a good time. What's the thing? Best time to plant a tree was 10 years ago. Second best time is today. So yeah, better late than never. Yeah. Yeah. It's mostly just the fact that, like, whatever method it takes, you know, it doesn't happen just sort of, it doesn't happen without action. Yeah. That's the thing. That's it. It's an ongoing process. Yeah. Ongoing process. And I'm not an expert in all of this, so this is just my, you know, opinions and whatnot. But I would say that, you know, even something as simple as just being there for your trans friends, or if you are, you know, if you're not LGBTQ plus, being there for people in your life who are, supporting them just through friendship, or, you know, things that they might need, like, that is worth something. that is, you know, that's my opinion, you know. You don't have, like, if you know, like, that matters. You don't have to be doing the most, you know, throwing yourself head first. We all have to try and take care of ourselves as well. Yeah. Do nice things for the people around you and for yourself as well. That's why the sign off is take care of yourselves and each other, because we can well, I was saying, you know, it's very easy for at least for some of us to be like, oh yes, I will do this for someone else, and that is motivated, that, but then when it comes to taking care of ourselves, we just kind of let that we'll let that go. But that's that's not good either. Like, you don't want to do that. Like, you also need to take care of yourself, you know, physically and especially mentally. 1 second, go blow my nose. Yeah. Yes. Good stuff, Lamb. Yeah. But yeah, you know, we can often, like, yeah. Doing nice things for the people around you and for yourself, like, yeah. Simple things. Oh. And, you know, it's just, yeah. Right. Yeah, no, absolutely, Lamb. Yeah. It is wild how, no, yeah, that's, I don't know what it's like, because I don't interact with the youth really. Although it's interesting because, you know, obviously you talked to you, Lamb, you talked about it before. My brother is a teacher, so, like, I hear about some things, and in some ways what I hear is, like, kids are kind of the way they've always been in some respects, but there are important differences. Oh, sorry, I gotta go again. Yeah. But yeah, it's such a, minefield. Yeah, it's their environment. Yeah. One thing I'm always cautious of is like, I mean, we've heard it before about our generation, or I've heard it, or you've heard it. I don't know about your whatever. Like that sort of particular tone where it's like, oh, the kids today, you know, they have no respect, or they're this way, or they're that way. Like essentially a moral judgment on a generation of children, as though it's something like inherent that they just don't respect or whatever. It's like, yeah, but there's a product of their environment. Like that doesn't just happen. There's a reason for it. And the reason for that environment, or the reason is often their environment and what they grow up with, which isn't their fault. That has to do with the environment that they're born into, which has been set up by their parents and other generations. Yeah, kids lack respect because we didn't show them a world that contained it. Well, yeah, exactly. Like that sort of thing. Like, there's this kind of like magical thinking about like, you know, oh, this generation is like that, and never examining like why that is, even if it's if it's even true. Recognize against short form content. Oh man, yeah. Against the TikToks. See, the thing is, when we had the original short form content, I feel like it was Vine, right? And Vine was 6 seconds. You can't do like a misinformation or like whatever in like 6 seconds. You can like back at it again at the Krispy Kreme and like flip kick a sign in 6 seconds. Or you can be like, what was road work ahead? Yeah, I sure hope it does. Like it was like little nuggets of something, and often just silliness and creativity. You know. Never that was like the original content. And then wasn't it? I was just Twitter that bought Vine and then tried to make money off it, and it just disappeared because they couldn't. I think that's what happened, right? And then it was TikTok, and then TikTok is like short form, but it can be longer, and it can be like a minute or so. Now, you know, yeah. Also, Vine was like right before the sort of peak of everything is content, everything is you got to market yourself, everything is a hustle. Yeah. Like, you couldn't directly make money off of Vine. Like, some people definitely spun it out into like a YouTube type thing, but yeah, if you're popular on TikTok, you can make money off it that way, basically. Yeah, I don't know, but yeah, TikTok's also not supposed. Yeah. Music platform. Oh, really? Oh man, no, I have not heard that actually. Group participation in music. That's interesting. So I merge stupid songs on, right? That's why you can do TikTok sounds, right? Where you take a sound and overlay it onto your video or whatever. Yeah. It was required. See. Interesting. Yeah. Yeah. You know what it reminds me of? This reminds me. There's a line in Bo Burnham's "Welcome to the Internet," in like the slow parts towards the end, whereas like in talking about the internet, it's like it did all the things we designed it to do, you know. So yeah, whenever someone says like, oh, kids today, you got to think about why that, why are they that way, if they even are that way, you know. It doesn't come out of nowhere. I'm trying to guard against being like, you know, the old man yells at cloud, or like, you know, yells at the youth today, like anything where it's like, oh, it was better back in my day, or, you know, kids these days, you know, uncritically just criticizing, unthinkingly criticizing like new things, and like younger generations, younger people, like trying very hard to avoid that. Because I know that it is, because yeah, like it is trying to break the cycle, because it's what happened. It was done to us. You know, it's done to me. We're like, oh, kids these days, oh, they're like this, oh, da, 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 da. And it's like, well, there were a whole bunch. Yeah, break that cycle. Yeah, and we'll grow up in an unimaginably difficult world. Yeah, exactly. And people have learned how to influence them. That's why, you know, people like, well, just influencers, manosphere, like in particular, whatever nonsense. Yeah, it's preying upon that and being like, yeah, you can use that to, yeah. But yeah, I want to be like, oh, kids these days, oh. Way more information than before. Must have not been taught the tools required to deal with it. Yeah. Look, we're circling around, but I'm just gonna say it again. I'm gonna get ahead of it before I get to that point. Otherwise, the problem is capitalism. It always is. It always is. It always is. It's at the root of everything. Get in the comments. I'm possessed by the spirit of Brennan Lee Mulligan. Yeah. It's like not being taught the tools required to deal with it, because we're so rushed in spending enough. Like, they're barely taught anything. Like, trying to teach kids at all, because of the focus. Like I said, my brother's a teacher. My mum has worked in education and training for basically most of her career. And so, you know, we have discussions about this sort of stuff, and basically kind of realize that, at least I can only speak for the UK. So, you know, this may be different elsewhere. But you certainly get the sense that because schools are right, it's about targets, I think. But schools are measured by their success. And how do we measure their success? We measure their success by exam results. You know, how well did their children do in the exams? So then the pressure becomes, if the schools don't do well on the exams, if the school isn't doing well, if the exam results are down, then there's going to be an investigator or something. You know, they're going to go through that. There may be questions. They may have to go through this process, may be taken over by another school or academy, and that's all. You know, that changes a lot over time. And there'll be a failing school, and then, you know, people might have to resign. It depends how bad it is. So there's a pressure of like, well, we need the kids to do well in the exams, but the focus of it isn't we need to educate the children. It's we need to do well on the exams or we'll be shut down, basically, because that's the pressure that they live under. And being shut down, it affects people's jobs, it affects that sort of, their careers, that sort of thing. And so the pressure is about passing the exams, not about educating the children. And so what they start teaching is that affects the curriculum, affects the teaching methods, affects just the general tone of the thing. And at least in the UK, ever since, this has been a legacy since at least, certainly since before then, but at least post World War II, the sort of education system in this country is a lot more about conformity and doing what you're told. I forget exactly when corporal punishment was made illegal here, but it was going on for quite a long time. So it was get in line, do what you're told. If you've ever listened to Pink Floyd, The Wall part, I think it's Wall Part 2. We don't need no education, and that legacy continues. It's getting better. It is getting better, but it continues till today. And so kids are not being engaged with at their level. They're being taught to sit down, shut up, and do the test, to conform and fall in line, right? So that's what and that's where all the energy goes in. So because everyone else is so pressured trying to get all this stuff done, to teach the tests, to do that, a lot of the other, the actual social skills and things that we need, especially for the world that we live in today, they just don't get taught. And if they were to be taught, or if someone was to try and teach them, at least in a school context, they wouldn't have the time or the space. That's why you need something like Lam's talking about, a separate program. But that's not even gonna well, that's what I said, Wall Part 2, exactly. It's still true a lot of in well, at least not to the same extent, but that kind of legacy and just the attitude of education in this country has not changed that much. Although it has in a specific way, which I'll talk about in a minute. But school, my sort of glib thing that I've said before is here's what I think about the British education system. I think it would be a good idea, because we don't have one right now. Kind of don't really. It's not about educating the kids about anything. It's about getting them to pass tests and fall in line in the way it has been for a long time. You occasionally are able to get someone interested in something, but the sort of general attitude is still one of conformity. And even, I don't know that this is the worst example of it, but I suppose it's typifying that you still have school uniforms in a lot of schools. But anyway, so it's no wonder that they're not learning how to deal. Also, the fact that the youth experience is so disconnected from the adult one, they're on TikTok or whatever, all these things that the adults don't keep up with, which has kind of always been the case to some extent. But now it's really important that you actually know what they're being because it's messing them up, basically. Which I know that's what they used to say about the internet when I was at school, but it does seem like it's worse now on that front. And so the people who would be trying to do this often don't know the first thing about it. So yeah, it's no surprise that they're not being taught these things properly. The place where none of this really happened, where everything seems to be done really well, at least in some instances though, is I believe they're still called SEN schools, special educational needs schools, because in those schools are run in a way that engages with, or at least the good ones are. Maybe not all of them, but a run where the attitude is not about conformity. It is about education and helping children. And they have to tailor their approach to each child, because each child is different and has often different, needs, or they might have disabilities, or whatever. And so they take the time to give the attention and tailor the education to what they need, what they want, and actually care about. It's actually about care and education, not about conformity and test taking. And it's like, oh, that's the way it should be. Yeah, exactly. And get left behind. Right attention, care, everyone can thrive. Yeah. But because we're in this huge rat race pressure where you have to be a successful school, or you might lose your job, because of all of this pushing on everybody, you get locked into this trap of just trying to pass, trying to get the tests, trying to get the results, because if you don't get the results, your job is on the line. You might even want to take care of, you might not want to do that, but you have to, because you have to participate in this society and this is your career. This is the trap. This is the trap you get locked in with the way the capitalist society works. It's basically everyone has a price. It's yeah. So yeah, it's this is the environment where you don't want to be this way, but you have to, otherwise it's lose your job or whatever, and you can't then support people. And then particularly if you've built up a life and a certain level of lifestyle, and you're I don't want to lose that. Yeah, that's the trap. That's the trap of the capitalist society. You end up making decisions that you would never otherwise make because of the fear of losing out on your livelihood. And that's behind so much of the bullshit that we have to deal with. So much of it. Yeah. SENs set them up for life so much better than help them. Yeah, exactly. Because they take the time and effort to meet kids where they are and see what they need and what will help them. Which is what, in an ideal world, every school would have the resources to do that for every child, SEN or not. That's the way it should be. But we don't live in that world, unfortunately. Yeah. What I'm saying is we need to dismantle the bourgeoisie and eat the rich. This, but unironically. Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing. It's just not the resources, Like I said, it's the trap, because people get into it, and it's often, I get it. I get why this happens. It's not I mean, and you have people who are good teachers and people who don't care and don't care about the kids anyway, so they just do, you know, there's a whole lot of variety within that structure. But yeah, they just don't have the resources and like, yeah, they don't put the money into it. Like, governments don't like the whole thing of like, it's been a thing in school, like they're starting to reverse it, or like attempting to reverse it now on the Labour government, but I might not be explaining this correctly, because I might get some of the details wrong, but the sort of gist of it is, you know, you would have schools that would have their budget and things. They would be administered by a local authority, so local government would be administering schools, providing them with budget for, you know, I guess, what are they? State schools? They're not public schools, because public schools are private. Yeah, no, I know, it doesn't make sense. I guess state schools. But they would be administered by local government. But under the Tories over the last, like, you know, 14 years they were in power, basically they, like, local governments, councils got less and less, or the local authorities got less and less money, less and less funding, and so you ended up with what are academies or academy trusts, which is a collection of several different schools that sort of band together with a kind of a company structure, with like a board and people at the top running them, and they provide the money. I think it's from, like, yeah, or they sell services to other schools to provide the money, and it's just not administered by local government anymore. And those academies, to varying extents, or academy trusts, can end up have a structure that's kind of corporate, at least at the top level, and being run in that way, which is bad. Where it's like, this is like, you shouldn't be running public services as businesses. They're not the same thing, they're different. Like hospitals, education, like, you can't run them like a business. Because if you try to run them like a business, people's lives will be affected. Like, because how do you run something like a business where you maximize profit or like results or whatever, and basically will do anything to get that to get that result, everything you're able to do. And so yeah, it's like yeah. Yep. Music education famous cycle. Yeah, dissembled the past 15 years by budget cuts when a right-wing government was in charge. Yeah. I mean, yeah. Let's see, culture is important. Yeah. I mean, it's always like it's always the art, like it's the arts and like other things, but like, yeah, it's a hallmark of right-wing governments around the world that, like, the arts are one of the first things to go. Because art is a means of expression, and a variety of expressions, and we can't have that. Can't be doing that. God, they might express something I don't agree with. The hell? Yeah. Man. Yeah, where's the garage bands? Well, no one has a garage anymore. You know what was funny? Just a weird English language thing. I was like, I find it's more comfortable to say garage bands but I will say garage on its own. Yeah, well. Where are the garage bands? Well, no one has a garage anymore. Yeah. To purpose humanity's art and its culture. I mean, yeah, like I mean, my opinion is like there is no inherent purpose to humanity. We decide what matters to us. It's like, what are we here for? I don't know. We're just here, man. Like, I don't think we're here for anything. I think we're just here. Like, I do get what you mean. Like, it's like what we should, it's our, I don't know if I were, yeah. Seeing the effects of it, yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. Focus on we might as well create for each other. Yes, exactly. No, I don't want to be like, oh, nothing matters, man. No, I agree with that. No, I'm with you there. Might as well create for each other. Absolutely. Like if we have to choose a purpose that we are here for, then that seems like a pretty good one to me. Because that's why all this stuff is, all the other things are so frustrating, because it's like, in my worldview, it's like, because we're not here, like, because we're just here, and we only get one shot at this, and it's hard enough. Beyond just like wanting to take care of other people, wanting people to be happy, but like, why should we make it hard for anyone? Like, why should we make everyone else's lives worse? Because it's already bad enough. It's already hard enough. Like, you gotta be kind. Like, yeah. Yeah, I mean, science and philosophy, I mean, they were for a long time. I don't know when they got unentwined, but, Also something I've thought about is like, progress, or, scientific progress, or whatever, or advancement, or like, it's another one of these things where it's not like, people often talk about things like progress or science as though it is like an inherent property of existence, or whatever, that it exists outside of a cultural context, and it doesn't. It flat out does not. Like, it's like, we are making, it's progress. It's like, well, yeah, but what are we progressing? Who is benefiting from this, and why? And like, it doesn't exist without a cultural context. And like, why are we? And the question of like, why are we doing this, right? Like, who is this for? Or who does this benefit? Or who doesn't it benefit? Everything a community does is an expression of culture. Well, exactly. But the way some people often, like, people who are like futurists, or people who, I don't know. It's like, yes. This particularly comes up when people are talking about generative AI, and it's like, but it's the future and it's progress. It's like, no, what do you mean? Like, what does that mean though? Like, how is it progress? Who does it benefit? What is it actually doing? Like, things getting more complicated and more advanced is not necessarily progress. Or it's progress towards what? Like, what do you mean? Yeah, exactly. Right? Like, does this actually benefiting anybody? Or is it harming people? You know, like what is actually you don't get to say it's progress, therefore it's good. And like, because we actually have to unpack what that means. I don't think progresses is the wealth gap, exactly. Yeah. So yeah, anytime anyone just talks about like it's in the name of progress, it's like, but no, hold on. How, like, what does that mean? For who? You know, whom does it benefit? Does it help? Or, you know, whatever. Yeah. And again, it contributes to this idea that naturally as things progress, things get more advanced and more and better over time, which we're seeing recently. Not necessarily true. Things can, in fact, get worse. Because there's also this idea that, you know, I mean, when it comes to social progress, that it's like inevitable, like not inevitable, but once it's done, it's irrevocable, which is not true. Not true at all. Like, it's like, oh, you know, we had the civil rights, you know, we had the civil rights movement. That means that's all sorted now, right? No, it doesn't. No, it does not. It does not mean that. And, you know, because it's, even if it was all sorted now, all those problems are in the past. It's like, no. It's not what that means. Yeah. And so people brush it off. It's like, oh, what are you complaining about? We've sorted all that out. It's like, no, you haven't. Yeah. This isn't like a video game like Tech Tree, you know, where we've unlocked this thing that lets us unlock other things. It's like, no, it's not how that works. Not how it works. Yeah. So yeah, as you can see, a lot to just get off my chest, I guess. So I don't want to be like, be my therapist for a bit or listen to me, but you know, I just want to, yeah, like I said earlier, I'm not very good at putting things out of my mind, so I was like, no, I kind of need to vent this a bit on the stream because, you know, that'll give you some context for how I'm doing for future streams, I guess. I don't know. Yeah. I think what you end up learning, or like the takeaway often is for me, is like, what's the Spider-Man panel where he's talking to the dinosaur guy, and it's like, wait, you're rewriting DNA on the fly, but with technology like that, you could cure cancer. And it's like, I don't want to cure cancer. I want to turn people into dinosaurs. Like, you know, it's like it would be easier and more effective, and you know, whatever, to house the homeless or do UBI, or in certain countries, you know, have socialized medicine. but they don't want to do that. They don't actually care. Like, they don't actually care. Like, they don't care about taking care of people. The cruelty is the point. Like, yeah. Is it time for me to go full on, like, to explain my full on, like, theory again about capitalism, about how capitalism is, obviously it's fun, like, I've railed against it many times, but I do believe that it is fundamentally the fundamental problem with it is that it's based on fear, because it necessarily creates an in-group and an out-group. It necessarily creates, like, okay, yeah, no, let's do it. Talked about stuff, enough stuff already that I'm like, you know what, might as well. So this is my sort of, and this is, bear in mind, this is an armchair theory. This is not like I haven't done a lot of research on it, but this is just the conclusion that I've come to. And that is that capitalism is based on fear. Why is it based on fear? Well, what is capitalism? What does capitalism deal with? It deals with capital, you know. And what is capital? Capital is something that you have that somebody else wants. In its very basic form, like something that has value that you own. In sort of very early society, it was things like if you have a farm, you own all the food, which is something everyone needs to survive. Right? So you have that, which means somebody else wants it. So somebody else doesn't have it. So you have a have and a have not. And if you don't have anything, you can't contribute. You can't participate, because you need that capital in order to, you know, make to interact with other people, to get, you know, things from them, or things you need, or to whatever. So there is always the fear of not having anything. And that's a very easy thing for people to exploit. So you say, that person over there who doesn't have anything, he wants what you have, and he will do anything to get it. So you become afraid of them because they want what you have, and they have nothing. And so once you have that fear, you can then build upon that and justify all sorts of horrible things, because of the fear of having nothing and the fear that someone else will take what you have. Because capital, you know, because of that's how the capital works. And so it pushes people apart, because you create that divide. So like, well, I have this, I don't want to lose it because I need this, because that's how we participate. But this the other person will, yeah, come and take this, you know? Wipe the wall from Hadestown sometime, 100%. Yeah, maybe I should. So yeah, like that's the conclusion I've come to. It's like, it's baked into, it's like the atom. It's like the nucleus at the center of the atom of capitalism is fear. And you see that magnified in people, like I was talking earlier, people afraid to lose their jobs. So they will do all sorts of things that they wouldn't otherwise do, because of that fear of not having anything. and if you don't have anything, you are cast out and you're not able to participate. You know, and people exploit that fear to target, you know, people that they don't like, essentially. You know, they're coming over here and stealing our jobs, right? Like that sort of thing. Oh, let's have a look. I can read the lyrics. Let me read them out. Why do we build the wall, my children? Why do we build the wall? We build the wall to keep us free. That's why we build the wall. Build the wall to keep us free. How does the wall keep us free? Keeps out the enemy. We build the wall to keep us free. That's why we build the wall. Build the wall to keep us free. Who do we call the enemy? The enemy is poverty. The wall keeps out the enemy. That's why we build the wall to keep us free. Ah. And this is Hades singing to his exploited workers who keep Hades Town running. Right. Because we have and they have not, my children. They want what we have got. Yep. There we go. We have the enemy is poverty. The wall keeps out the enemy. We build the wall to keep us free. That's why we build the wall. What do we have that they should want, my children? What do we have that they should want? We have a wall to work upon. We have work that they have none. Our work is never done. The war is never won. The enemy is poverty. The wall keeps out the enemy. We build the wall to keep us free. Yep. There you go. And yeah, from the like this is what is behind everything. So many of the problems. And even if it's not the root of all of them, it is why a lot of them are as bad as they are. You know? But yeah. The nucleus of that of it is all it's fear. Yeah. It's fear. And as a means of control. When in fact, yeah, the group and the out group, people in the main group think they'll get to join the top in group if they push more people out. Yeah, it's exactly. The thing is, well, not the thing is, but like, there is way more. We have way more in common with each other, like, than we do apart. Like, yeah. And so, you know, ladder pullers, or is it the crabs in bucket or thing? No, that's a different thing. Anyway, yeah. You get up to the top and like pull the ladder up behind you. Like, screw you, got mine. Yeah. It's crazy. You know, I've even seen it here. People talking about like high tax brackets and so on. Thinking, oh, that's terrible. They should increase the tax bracket, the tax for wealthy people. They've earned that money, and it's like when it doesn't affect, like, people talking about it will be in like middle income or like low income families. Like, oh, that's terrible. Like, this isn't ever going to affect you. And also, you know, they'll be fine. But like, I could be, and then I would want all of it, like, because the more you have, you know, the more you have, the more you can protect it. The more you have, the bigger your wall can be. Yeah, biggest lie ever told is the wealthy earned that money. Yeah, exactly. Like, yeah. Yeah. And like, I know that it's like but you participate in society. Curious, like, yeah. This is the other trap. Is like, or part of the trap is like, I don't really have an option not to. Like, I mean, I gotta. Because of the way it works. Exactly. Good luck deciding not to have a bank account and so on. Like, yeah. I will say one of the things I'm very grateful for is like living in a country with, you know, socialized or national healthcare. Because I mean, I did spend a lot of years where I did need to buy a regular prescription. You know, the really messed up thing, another messed up thing, this is, but like I have a chronic health condition. I have Crohn's disease. Had it since 2003. You know, had it for 22 years. Or diagnosed with it in 2003. It's chronic. It's not going away, but it's not recognized as such when it comes to prescription medications. And so for like 16 years, well, not for all of that, because once it was free in England. Prescriptions are free when you're a child. When you're, I think, 16 or over, 16 or 18, I forget which. Then you have to start paying a charge every time. And it's not very much. It was like, especially once they realized they could get it down to a single charge by giving me a big, like, consolidate, because I was on different strengths of the whatever. But it was every month. And it was a little bit, it was maybe like, it started out at like £18 because there was 2 charges, and then they got it down to 1, so it was like, well, it was 14, then it's 7 or 9, and so on. And that's like regular medication, so that was okay, but that was, I don't know why, like diabetes, I think it's diabetes medication is, or certain other medication, you don't have to pay for because it is recognized as a chronic condition. On that front, but for some reason Crohn's isn't. I don't know, it still isn't. Anyway, but I also knew that from about 2006, was it 2006? I think it was 2006. I was on infusions, which I now do at home in a pen, and previously there were IV drips. And I remember a figure for the IV. The IV was quoted a figure of about £1,000 a go, and I needed it like the IV was every 8 weeks, so like every 2 months, roughly, just so that's basically $6,000 a year, every year for 16 years. It wasn't until, I think it was 16 years. Yeah, because it wasn't until 2022 that we finally stopped that. Or we transitioned onto at-home injections as part of a trial scheme, and then continued with that. And so I don't know what those work out to. So I know if I had to pay for that, I would be in so much medical debt right now. $6,000 a year for 16 years. I would be in so much medical debt. So I'm kind of keenly aware of the fact that, and again, it's a chronic condition. It doesn't go away. If I stop taking the medication, my body just slowly starts to, like, my guts basically stop. Well, they kind of stop working after a little while. So, yeah. Yeah. So, like, I'm very aware that if that collapses, or if things, like, you know, Like if I was to if we were to sort of disconnect from society or for whatever reason, you know, because there are little things like even just the fact that you have to get a train, because you know, train to the hospital, right? Beyond like wherever, like beyond like your living situation and just groceries and so on, the normal things that everyone has to deal with. I know that like you'd have to get to the hospital, you'd have to do all of this. So you know, if you could disconnect from society, you might end up being unable to get your treatment, which would be very bad. So it's like, yeah, could go and live in the woods and, you know, farm mushrooms and not have a bank account or whatever, but every once in a while I would need to go and get my meds. So can't really do that. Can't really do that. Yeah. I think that's where I was going with this. Yeah. I remember there was a period during the pandemic where it's like during the height of the pandemic, I should say, where they're like, oh, we can only get you a small amount of this medication because everything is messed up right now. And I was like, oh, okay. Oh, is this gonna be okay? I think that was actually the pills, though. That wasn't the. Actually, yeah, no, that wasn't the infusions. Anyway. Yeah, I know. I feel really bad for like it's particularly in America. I mean, for so many reasons, but I've felt that for a long time, where it's like, oh God, you know. Oh well, no, I won't get the ambulance because that will cost me too much. Like, what the hell? What is going on? Yeah. But yeah, basically I know that like even beyond the normal things that, you know, the structures of society, I am kind of reliant on the medical like structure to be there for me to get my treatment and my meds. Like that doesn't, you know. I need that to exist. I need to participate with that, if nothing else. Yeah. Well, yeah, a lot of early fire, kind of some early fire services were like protection rackets, basically. Like, oh, nice house you got here. It'd be a shame if something was to set it on fire. If you're not paid up with the fire service, you know, you can't. If your house sets on fire, then nothing we can do. Thankfully, it's not like that anymore. But yeah. Oh man. Yeah, so much bullshit is going on, as I'm sure you all, you know. But yeah, this isn't. We didn't even touch on half of the things that are like actually actively happening right now that are like concerning or give me anxiety or worries. But it's the sort of it's the whole thing, the milieu of all the bullshit that makes it a little bit, you know, tough to keep going and coming online and saying, well, in the terms of streaming, coming online going, oh, let's play a game, and you know, we are still gonna keep doing that here though. Just sometimes you just need to break. You need to let it out, or you need to just take a break, or just think about it for a bit. Need that kind of catharsis, really. Yeah. And yeah, like I said, I'm not good at putting things out of my mind, and like if it is affecting me, then I think that shows, honestly. So I don't want to be like, no, I'm fine, you know, it's all good. You know, don't worry about it. It's like, no, I very much am going to worry about it. But yeah, if nothing else, I can at least we can try and have a fun time here most of the time, you know, and be entertaining, and just not to try and make you forget about it necessarily, but just to have a good time, you know? Because I'm not trying to be like, no, don't think about it. It's like, no, like, we'll have a good time. That's what we're here to do. That's what we've been doing for a long time now, and like, yeah, I still want to keep doing it. Like I said, I think when it comes to, I'll be honest, like there are that sort of like difficulty in like being like, God, keep going and doing this while all of this shit is happening. You know, you think about that. You think, is it just too much to put myself through sometimes, even though it's not very much? Sometimes it feels that way, so that's why you take a break. But at the end of the day, when it comes down to that, my rule has always been, and will continue to be, I will keep doing it as long as it keeps being fun. And so far, so good. You know? So far, so good. You know, as long as I am getting some enjoyment out of it, and you are as well, then we'll keep doing it. But yeah, it does affect things where I'm like, you know, in the earlier days I was more likely to do more ancillary things around it, like, oh, we'll do this, or we'll make this thing, or I'll try this out, or do that, and like that enthusiasm, unfortunately, that's one of the things you can feel. Like, it's certainly recent years have made that a lot harder, because you kind of feel that slight despair of like, and you just don't have as many spoons as you used to have, right? Partly because it's been a long time, and you know, your attitude and priorities change as time goes on, but also the everything else. So yeah, I find myself wanting to get back to, you know, wanting to have more spoons again for additional stuff. It's hard though. It's hard because of all of this shit. It really is. And you know, particularly in the creative spaces where we're in a world now where fucking AI is eating everybody's jobs and devaluing creators, and it just, even though, you know, it should be for your own enjoyment and for your own excitement, and I do have that, but it just weighs down on you. You're like, ugh, you know, you just say, what's the point, you know, that sort of thing. And the point is to enjoy it, to do it for yourself, and to not worry about, you know, algorithms or things. But you know, it creeps in. It really does. Yeah. So yeah. That's one thing that doing the Final Fantasy Retro Gauntlet has really helped with, is the fact that I have like a structure to build this around, and so that I can, you know, think less about it, because it's like, well, what are we doing next? Well, okay, we just play the next game. I don't have to think about that. Just like, okay, we played Final Fantasy 12. Now what do I do? Well, I play Final Fantasy 13. Well, then what do I do? Well, then I play the next one and the next one. You just take some of that workload off where you don't have to think about what you're going to do next. You know, it's like, oh yeah, next one. But yeah, no, I long ago decided I was like, I'm not gonna chase the algorithm, and it was a long time ago, right? Because you start that early thing and the early sort of affiliate days, and you see how far you can go, and then after a while, like, things even out, and have been at a steady for a while. I'm like, okay, this is comfortable, this is alright. I don't want to chase the algorithm, because I will hate it. I will hate it so much. And so much of like whether your stream grows or not is entirely based on luck. Like being in the right place at the right time, the right person shouting you out or something, like whatever it is. So much of that is based on luck. So like there's nothing you can do about that. You can don't waste your time trying to game that system, because you can't. You just cannot. And if you push it too much, like, it's not authentic anymore. And something I've noticed is like, I do think for all of the big like YouTubers or streamers or content creators out there who are entirely just like a walking brand that has been hollowed out, you know, a person that has been hollowed out and a brand has been put inside, Mr. Beast. Like, for as much as those people are out there making stupid amounts of money, I think what people respond to is honestly is authenticity, or at least some people have figured out, you know, the appearance of authenticity. Kind of almost no matter what like it is, but you know, people like those authentic moments because that's where that sense of connection comes from. And that's what, you know, I don't know that that's how you necessarily build a big community, but I do think that's how you build a strong community. You know? And that's kind of what, you know, what we're talking about today. It's like, I don't want to be inauthentic on stream. I don't want to be like pretending everything is fine and that, you know, we shouldn't feel all of this. I don't want to do that, and I'm not going to do that, and I can't do that. Like, yeah. But we just kind of settle into, yeah. Yeah. Be authentic about it. Be real. And, you know, don't waste your time on anyone who's like, no politics, don't worry about it, everything is fine. You know? Life is hard, and it sucks, and it's pretty fucking hard right now. Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, it's like, no, yeah, like it is bad. Like, no, you're not crazy. Like, the shit's bad. And like, Yeah. And I'm not going to tell you, you know. So, you know, it's all right to worry about it and to acknowledge it, and like, I'm not a good enough actor to be on stream and be like, this isn't bothering me. No. Like, yeah, this is hard. I'm trying to pick out of like, is it because, you know, is it because you're over 35? Or is it that things are, I mean, it's both, but, you know, it's both that, like, your priorities and experience, you know, changes as you get older, and also things are really fucking bad right now. Like, it's both. It's both. But it certainly feels like things are in such a bad place, like, that this might, I don't know, maybe it's the worst it's been that I can remember in, like, adult life. So, you know, it's tough. It's tough. Like, it feels just, yeah. Don't remember this, like, the closest I can say, like, this kind of feeling is the beginning of the pandemic, when everything was very uncertain and freaking out, and before we had vaccines, and yeah, it's kind of that feeling again. And that was not great. Yeah. But I do want to just, yeah, I've said this on stream before when it was happening recently, but in response to the specific things that are happening in my fucked up country, I'm sure, you know, I've made this clear before, but it never hurts to make it clear again. And that in this house, no, in this stream and in this community, we love and support and respect our trans friends, trans people, trans women are women, trans men are men, trans rights, and this government and the author of a certain wizard book can go fuck themselves for making the trans people's lives horrible and miserable. Like, I think that's pretty clear. Like, absolutely fuck this government and the Supreme Court for playing it for their decisions recently. They can get fucked. Like, because that's the thing, I was saying that, it's like, you know, it doesn't feel like enough to say, like, you know, we support trans people. Like, what's going on in this country is despicable. Like, it is despicable and cruel and horrendous. You know, just to make that really fucking clear. I'm so fucking mad about it. Yeah. Not depression. They're like, oh, Mum, you're lucky you got 12 years between them. Yeah. Why don't we do both at the same time? Yeah. But yeah, no. And also, just, and I'm sure nobody here needs to hear this because, you know, you're all good people. You've been good in this community, but like, again, it's capitalist trap. Like, if you buy Harry Potter stuff, fuck you, basically. because you are This is what you're helping to support, like the horrendous attacks on trans people, because you know Joanne's like the money going to her directly funds the efforts to make trans people's lives worse. So, and you don't need to consume that. You don't need to. There are other books. Read another book. Please read another book. There are so many other books. There's Discworld. Read Discworld. That's what I would say. You'll have a better time anyway. They're much better. And like, if you want to no ethical consumption and capitalism, all that means is like I can't judge you for buying a loaf of bread that was made unethically because that's all you can afford. You don't have to buy the Wizard game. You really don't. There are so many other things you could do. So do one of those. And it's like, oh, I can separate, and do not talk to me about separating art from the artist either. You can't do that. Like that's not a literary that's not a literary device. That's just a phrase people made up either on Twitter or on Reddit. And now it's treated like it's a real thing. It's not. Like you actually can't separate the two. Certainly not monetarily, you know. And if you want to talk about death of the author, that is a literary device, and that just means that we only care about the text when we analyze it. Not that we ignore the author. We just ignore anything they've said that isn't in the text. So yeah. Well, okay, so here's an important thing about that, NeoGets. Lovecraft is dead. Like, if you buy a Lovecraft book, yeah, the money doesn't go to him and supporting him, and a lot of his work, yeah, is it public? Oh, it might be public domain. Yeah, like Sherlock Holmes is, like, you know, it's a lot easier to separate the art from the artist when they're dead. Like, you're not directly supporting them and their and whatever it is they choose to support. So like, with a distant historical perspective, you can look at it and analyze it and be like, yeah, this bit is this is racist, this is terrible, you know, all of that stuff. You know. Oh, that's true. Yeah, all the people making Cthulhu games not paying his estate. That makes sense. No, you're right. You're right. Yeah. Yeah, actually, the live consequences. Yeah. And also, I don't even think, like, because I think the way that phrase is used is usually just by people like, oh, you know, I can separate, so I don't consider them when I interact with it. It's like, okay, but, you know, you are directly supporting them monetarily, particularly if you're buying their game or a book or whatever, you know. And you have a very explicit example in, you know, in JK of like directly what it's like what that money goes to. So yeah, don't play the fucking Wizard game. So many other games you could play. Yeah. And yeah, if it had an effect on you as a kid, and because I'll you know, I'll cop to reading Harry Potter when I was a kid. I think I stopped around book 5 or 6 because I had grown up enough that I hit the wall of the 8 words you don't ever want to say about a fictional property, which is, I don't care what happens to these people. I know, I remember that. This was way before, you know, all of this stuff. But yeah, I remember reading it and enjoying it up to that point. But obviously it's like, well, no, now it's like, yeah, no. Yeah, wouldn't be caught dead for buying it or reading it or whatever. No, there are so many other things. That's what I said. Yeah. Ugh. I mean, just recently, and well, I'm going. We won't talk about the details because it is really grim and horrible and awful. But this just recently happened with Neil Gaiman and his books, and it's like, oh, well, that's horrible. Not gonna support anything else he does. Yeah. Yeah. Anyway. Yeah. It's very much like... yeah. The thing is, like, and some of it is very important, very good. Like, a really, like, Sandman comics. I remember reading those a while ago, and really, that was really good and whatever. It's like, well, now I'm not going back to that, and certainly not buying any more of his shit or interacting with any of that stuff. Yeah. Ugh. But as always, there are so many other options, so many other people you can read or other things you can go to that people who are not terrible. But it's okay. It's okay if that there's a sense of mourning because it did mean something to you and it was important, and you can acknowledge that, and you kind of have to grieve the loss of that meaning to you, or at least in part, because it's like, well, now this is forever tinged by this person's awful actions, and there's a sense of grief with that, because you're like, well, yeah, yes, David Tennant at least does seem to be a good, I believe, a good ally. And it's like, particularly towards, towards LGBTQ and trans community, and specifically trans as well communities. It's like, but also you gotta remember, like, you can't put your celebrities on pedestals, can't put all your eggs in one celebrity basket or any of them. It's like, I'm happy that, for example, like, I'm happy that David Tennant is a good ally and is publicly a very good ally as well. Like, that's good. That's great. But there are not putting like all of my hopes on all of my hopes of like public allyship on David Tennant, right? It's like, but I'm glad he's out there doing that, basically, I don't need an idol for allyship or for all of that stuff, because that way lies disappointment, unfortunately, because no one's gonna get it right all the time. You gotta do it. You gotta take those things into yourself and be the change you want to see. I don't know. I think that made sense. Yeah. 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 With all of this stuff, and there are so many things now, you'll talk. Like, in summary, yeah. But yeah, it's like so much bullshit. That's why, I mean, this is why we have to look out for each other. Certainly if our institutions and governments and whatever, certainly if they're not going to do it. Although many would argue that that's what they're supposed to do, but you know, that's where we got to take care of ourselves and each other, because somebody should. Yeah. Like, and again, we got to be wary of all the traps of capitalism and things that force us into. But, you know, for example, if you work at a cashier, if you have the latitude to give somebody a small discount, you know, if a trans person comes through your till, maybe give them a little discount. You know? That's within your power to grant. certainly if they're here in this country, you know. Yeah, you gotta look out for each other, because no one else is going to, it seems. And if we want change, if we want, you know, institutions and governments to take care of people, we are gonna have to force them to, you know. And that can be as simple as voting in people who support that, or putting pressure on them, you know. However you do that, like. All of this stuff takes work and it takes action, and what the hateful, awful people want is for everyone to kind of give up and stop and just stop trying, because it's all weighing down on you so much. And it's not that you should be going it all the time. You should be taking care of yourself and giving yourself a break so that you can get back up and get back to work. You know? And like I said, you can figure out what that means for you, even if it's as simple as like looking out for the people in your life that you can. You know, and supporting the other people. You don't have to be going and doing everything. You don't have to be going out and tearing down things or waving a sign or anything like that. Like, even if you're just helping to support the people who are doing that, or just being a sounding board or a kind, you know, person in the social circle of people who are hurting right now, you know, that all still matters. That still counts for something, you know. That still matters. So don't feel like you have to burn yourself out trying to do everything or trying to take it all on, right? But we gotta, you know, that, you know, things won't change into the way we want them without action. So, you know, like I said, Moral arc of the universe doesn't bend on its own. So, there you go. Well, as for me, we stay silly. We stay silly. Oh. I don't know what I'm going to be doing tomorrow, but we'll probably do some gaming. I might throw on, maybe we'll do Baldur's Gate 3. I might also play some Vintage Story. Maybe I'll do a solo Vintage Story, or we can, I don't know, if Lamb's around, we can throw up the server and I can just mess around. But yeah, we'll take this week of just break from Final Fantasy, and then next week we'll start with 13, I think. Yeah, because it is almost 8:30. So it's probably time for me to get out of here. Yeah, I think I was like, I'm not sure how I'm feeling. Am I gonna be? And then you're like, it's like, yeah, I think I just needed to get that off my chest and talk with you all here on the stream. So thank you for listening and hanging out, and yeah, just needed to put that out there. I think for, like I said, and we've got, talk to people on, talk to my friends about this, talk to my family about this. So it's not like I'm like, this is the only avenue for me, this is the only way for me to talk about it. No. But I was like, no, I need to express this in the context of the stream. To let you know how I'm feeling about all of this going on, and why it's just a little bit, it's a little bit harder to just keep doing it, but we are going to keep doing it. So thank you for listening, and thank you for hanging out, and thank you for being here. Just especially if you for subscribing, or even if you've just been here for a long time, because it is my streamerversary for I don't even know. I don't want to know how long. A long fucking time, let's put it that way. It must be close to 10, like 9 or 10 years, I feel like. It must be. I think it must be. My sense of time is fucked, so who knows. But if you've been here, particularly if you have, like Sam Reich, been here the whole time, I don't even know that I have words to say how grateful I am that you stuck around. Because yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, after that sort of mini, cathartic, ranting, therapeutic, chatting stream, we will be back with something fun tomorrow. So, yeah. I think Sarah is live doing some... Well, we were talking about World of Warcraft earlier, so let's send you over to Simply Suzu. There's a small act of kindness raiding into people. Sure, yeah. I need to do the /raid commands, don't I? We'll send you over there. I'll be back tomorrow with a little bit of gaming, and we'll do hopefully the same again on Wednesday, and then when we come back next week, Final Fantasy 13. So stay tuned for that next week. But this week we're just chilling, taking it easy, playing it by ear, mucking around with some various games. We'll figure it out. Thanks once again. All right, let's go raid Sarah, and I'll see you soon. And yes, I'll say it out loud. Please take care of yourselves and each other now more than ever. All right. Bye.